Hello, 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 and welcome to the 9th episode of Mixed Media Reviews Season 5. My name is Kelsey, and today I'm going to be talking about a movie. Go figure. This week's movie is Barbie. Finally. You may be asking yourself, or maybe you're not really asking yourself, but I'm going to pretend like you're asking yourself, Kelsey, where have you been? Have you been busy? Have you been out doing things and living a full life? No. I have not been living a full life. Unless maybe that full life is just hockey romances, because that's all I've been doing. I've just been reading a lot of hockey romances. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if there's an end in sight. I don't know if there's any more books that I could possibly read in this genre. And no, they haven't been good. I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's fine. I don't know what's happening. I don't know who I am. I'm just... yeah. Okay, well, let's move on. I've been wanting to do a Barbie movie episode since I watched it in the theaters when it came out. But I wanted to watch it again before I did one, so I waited for it to come out on streaming. And then, of course, I waited a lot longer because I haven't been doing this lately. But, yeah. That's what I did. I 100% played with Barbies as a kid. What kind of question is that? Why are you asking me questions, guys? So many questions today. But yeah, I loved Barbie so freaking much. And honestly, sometimes I kind of miss playing with them still. Is that weird? It's fine. I did have a Barbie house that folded out, and it was super cool. I had a Corvette that they could drive in, which maybe is partially why I used to be obsessed with Corvettes when I was younger. I had an RV as well, and I had like the little kitchen set. I don't know if any of you guys had that, but I had like the kitchen itself, and then I had a fridge. I never got the oven. I really wanted the oven, but I never got it, and I was really bummed. But I think the kitchen had a dishwasher and a sink. Am I remembering that correctly? It's been a while. But I loved it. The fridge had like ice cubes, and I loved like the little milk carton and orange juice carton that it came with, and all the fake food. I had a Wonder Bread loaf. Oh man, they were so cool. And I had, of course, tons of clothes, and I had a Barbie. I had a Kelly. I think I had a Skipper. I had a Pocahontas, and that became our weird Barbie because my sister cut her hair, and she did not look quite right afterward. And I can't believe we cut her hair, but that's what you do, I guess, when you're kids. And I had a Ken. I had a couple Kens, but one of my Kens had real hair. Not like real hair, but it had like hair, not like the painted on hair. And he was 100% my favorite. And then, yeah, I played with my sister, I think a little bit when we were really young. And then I got my brother to play with me sometimes. But he always said, okay, I'll play with you, but as long as I get to be the murderer. So that's how we played. It's good stuff. Okay, so here's what Google says that Barbie is about. Barbie and Ken are having the time of their lives in the colorful and seemingly perfect world of Barbie land. However, when they get a chance to go to the real world, they soon discover the joys and perils of living among humans. And that's it. So I guess, like, maybe barely that's what that's about. It's about a lot of stuff. But yeah, well, that's what Google says it's about, so we'll go with that. And just so you know, this is going to be probably pretty spoiler heavy, so be warned. So what did I like about this movie? Oh gosh, guys. I loved this movie so freaking much. I'm just going to gush. This is going to be a gushing session, so I hope you guys are okay with that. I'm going to gush about all the things that I absolutely loved, from the Barbie references, to the writing, to the acting, to the, like, literally absolutely everything. So this is kind of like a list of things that I wrote down while watching Barbie. I tried to kind of organize it into a more cohesive stream of consciousness. But I don't know if I succeeded. So we'll just go with it. And if you're like, man, she's really jumping around today, just allow it to happen, because this episode's already unhinged and I'm not re-recording. So we're just going to go with it, guys. Okay, let's kick it off. Let's kick it off with the opening sequence, which I loved so freaking much. Like how they panned down from her house to the first floor. as she kind of like is walking, like her second floor or third floor maybe that she's on. Like it pans down to the next floor and then she walks off screen only to just appear below on the next level. Like since maybe there was a stair in like whatever Barbie dream house you got, but like also maybe there wasn't. I think mine had a stairs. But we didn't really walk them down the stairs. They just moved, right? I loved the fake water in the shower. I loved the mirror frame with no mirror. The massive hairbrush for some reason that was way too big for her hands and her head. I loved, the clothes in the closet and how they would just appear on her. I love that there was like no milk in the carton and the waffle with its perfect whipped cream. How she didn't eat or drink any of it, just kind of miming everything. And then how she like just floated down to her car, all with that song in the background, just like narrating everything that's going on. Just perfect. And also, side note, but I definitely had an alarm clock radio of the original Barbie car that she drives in this movie. I still have it. It's just at my dad's. But it had an original Barbie as well, sitting like in the front seat. It was pink and it had green seats. And the like front portion, like, how like alarm clocks have like a clock on the side. There's like that little screen that usually covers it. That has popped off. And I would just like stick it back on. But otherwise it was great. And like the wheels, it was a clock radio. So it had the wheels, or the rims, I guess I should say, those turned, and that was like the volume and the dial for the radio. Super cool. Loved it. And I think you opened the hood and that's where all of like the buttons were to like change the time and set the alarm and stuff. Super good. I think that was how you snoozed it too. I think you just pushed the hood. Oh man, bringing back some memories. Anyway, loved it. But yeah, the whole opening sequence, chef's kiss. I love when they're on the beach and Ken gets, injured, and then they have the ambulance pull up and it just opens up and like goes out into like a little like clinic space. Loved it. I love the sets and the clothes in general. They were just so amazing. It felt like actual Barbie, like from the sets and the clothes to like, the fake sand to like that fake water, the fake pool at her dream house. Like it was just so good. The color, the plastic and the translucent waves at the beach, just all of it felt very much like I was immersed in Barbie world, with a mix of like super fake painted on things and semi-fake real things. Like perfect. I liked that they had Barbie and Ken just kind of stand near each other at one point when they're saying goodbye, and they're like supposed to be kissing, but they're just kind of standing there. Love the inclusion of Weird Barbie, because like I said, I had one, we all had one. And I love that Weird Barbie was always in the splits because yeah, that's how they were. I also loved that she used like the cootie catcher, because I'm sure we all had one, thrown into our Barbie toy box as well. And those were a very big part of my childhood, as well as probably a lot of young girls used to play with those and make them all the time. And I loved the house that she lived in because it was absolute perfection. If you guys have listened to me for a while, you might know how much I love a good balance of funny and serious. And I think Barbie does this really, really well. I like that Ken's job is just kind of beach, and Barbie having like every other job under the sun, including architect, which I wanted that Barbie so freaking badly, but I never got my hands on it. And like, yeah, this is a doll for girls to see that they can be whatever they want when they grow up. They can be a mom, but they can also have a career and be in the sciences, and dream bigger and be what they want to be, no matter what that is. And I'm sure it helped a lot of girls, young girls, to be able to kind of see themselves as something more than the women and girls who came before them, right? That's what the creative Barbie says in the movie too, is that, the whole point of Barbie was kind of, and Barbie herself, that they can be whoever they want, and, to really kind of pull women up to a higher, a higher ideal, maybe, I guess. And also, I'm sure that as dolls have become more inclusive, we've been able to widen those dreams, right? Our Barbies aren't all white girls, right? They're not all skinny white girls even. They have plus size. They have women of different races. They have women with different abilities, like the inclusion of a wheelchair. And that's really important for young girls and even young boys to be able to see these women in different roles and in different, backgrounds getting to be able to do different things, right? To get that diversity. And whether it's, the friends that they make in school or the people that they see on a screen or read in a book or even the toys that they play with, it's all nice to see someone who looks like you represented somewhere. So it makes sense that the focus was on girls and not, the boys, the Kens, because boys already had action figures and toys where the guys had the jobs. So it's kind of funny to see, Ken is just Beach. But then it's also kind of sad when we humanized him and realized he literally just exists for Barbie. It's not Ken, it's Barbie and Ken, like they say in the movie. And I'll talk more about this a little bit later, but I really liked that this was just, another aspect of the movie that that in the journey to becoming, a more feminist and a more forward-thinking toy, they kind of forgot about the guys, which in fairness, again, it wasn't really the point. But when you kind of blow it up on the screen and, again, humanize it, it kind of hits differently, I love that the turn the movie makes, right? So just, and how it takes it. Is this chaotic enough? I love the turn the movie makes and how it takes that turn. With her just kind of shouting out, do you guys ever think about dying? And then from that point on, things are a little bit off. Like her not kissing scene. I liked that we get like that same opening again, but this time it has a sprinkle of like existentialist crisis on top of it. The temper in the shower being off, her, not waking up perfectly like she was before, the burned waffle and the expired milk, even though it's still not real milk, that she falls instead of floats down to her car, that her feet fall flat, and of course the song over top of it is also picking up all of these little things that are going wrong. And yet she still thinks that in the real world, they fix feminism and sexism and all of the problems. When Barbie and Ken go to the real world and they have two very different vibes to the people staring at them, Ken's like, I feel powerful. And Barbie's like, mine has very much an undertone of violence. Because, yeah, legit, 100%. Yeah, I loved that turn that it takes into the real world as well. I mentioned that I loved the sets in the Barbie world, but the real world was great too. That kind of stark contrast to how vibrant and bright Barbie Land is to that Mattel office. It's in a typical steel and glass kind of skyscraper, trying to feel like it's contemporary and it's, maybe a bit of a forward-thinking vibe to it. And of course, the interior where the workers are is dark and gray and boring and monotonous, and it's the same. The cube walls are super high up to try to make everyone feel isolated and make it feel more enclosed and like oppressed. There's no nice decorations on the walls, not until you get to the executive floor. But it's still not all like vibrant like Barbie Land is. It's still a bit understated. But of course, they open the doors and the entire executive board is all men. There's no diversity, no inclusion. And of course, the funny line from one of the men, I'm a man with no power. Does that make me a woman? So it all like, I just really liked the way the set kind of was mimicking what the workers were feeling and what the executives felt being on top and feeling like, oh, they have this, kind of powerful group that they are, and they think that they're doing well and they think they're doing right by women, but really, it's hard to do right by women when you have no women in the room. I love the little twist ties things in the giant Barbie box when they try to put her back in. I love the rollerblades. Remember the ones that sparked and how there's like a smell to them? How is that allowed? I don't know. I loved Ken's misunderstanding of the patriarchy, just trucks and horses. And when he says he was kind of over it once he learned it wasn't really about horses. And that they turned Mount Rushmore not into like dudes' faces when it was like, the women, the Barbie women, but they turned it into horses. And it's just really underlining the point that they didn't get it. They didn't understand. They just liked the horses and the trucks. But in the end, I'm going back to what I was kind of talking about before about not uplifting men equally, because that kind of, wasn't really the point back then. But in this, I'm really glad that they ended up uplifting Ken in the end. I was a bit nervous during this part of the movie, thinking, they weren't really going to address that while they were doing great about empowering women. I was like, oh, I hope they're going to do the same for the men, for the Kens. And so I was so glad that that was part of it, because that is the point of feminism, right? It's not to switch places with the men. It's not to create that power swap, It's to create true equality and equity. That quote that I'm not sure if you've heard before. My sister has said it many times, but, a rising tide lifts all boats or all ships. And that's really what it's about. It's about lifting up others, and not at the expense of another group. We're all lifted up together. Us fighting for women's rights is really a fighting for, for gay rights, for trans rights. It's fighting for minorities. It's fighting for the working class or for the poor. Lifting us all up doesn't mean putting anybody down. And lifting us up also lifts up men, right? Trying to get rid of the toxic masculinity as well. So I really loved that they included that it wasn't just, trying to get them to go back to how they were, but it was also, we need to not have the horse and truck patriarchy that the Kens brought, but we don't need to necessarily go back to what it was beforehand. Kind of making sure that everybody is equal and is treated equally across the board. So I really liked Ken's arc throughout the film. And of course, Barbie's and everybody else is. But I really liked that he was finally kind of seen becoming somebody, doing the reverse to the Barbies, making them the background characters. But then it also served as a way for him to discover who Ken is. He needed to figure out who he was without Barbie. He's not Barbie's boyfriend. He's Ken. He's his own person, right? He's Kenough. All the things that he thought made him, him, weren't really him. Maybe it is Barbie and it's Ken, as Barbie says in the movie. So I really liked how they tied all of that together to show that, in a movie that's still empowering women and is still very much the point is to empower women. That doesn't mean that other groups of people should be pushed down at the expense of that, right? And then, of course, on the other side, we hear Gloria's speech, played by America Ferrera, who's wonderful. Superstore was also hilarious. The whole scene that she has her monologue in is just absolutely phenomenal, right? The contradictions of being a woman, thin but not too thin, having money but you can't ask for it, being a boss but not being mean. And after this, whole big speech about all of these hardships we face by just existing, by just being women, she ends it by saying, and if all of that is then also true for a doll, then I don't even know. And I love that it's open-ended like that. Like, we don't get a satisfying answer to all these problems that women face because we don't actually currently have one. It's still a struggle, right? It's perhaps getting better, and we maybe have some step backs that we take, but it is obviously much better now than it was, 50 years ago, or, when Barbie was first introduced. And so, which obviously was not 50 years ago, because that would be like the 70s. Okay, anyway, yes, so I like that the speech kind of acts as a way to wake up that Barbie who is blinded by the patriarchy, right? And I guess that's kind of its own answer in itself. It's not this, here's the answer to fix all of it, but it's more of a way to be made aware of those contradictions, right? You're being made aware of the issues that we have, and that's the first step to working towards a better future, right? You identify the problem. So all of the women, all of the Barbies that then need to be kind of woken up with her continuous, telling it like it is kind of a speech, is a way to fight against that oppression, that way to force whoever it is back into a box by just, owning up to it and understanding that there is a problem and that we need to, work together to try to fix it. The end of the movie is also perfect. Barbie's wearing jeans, Birkenstocks, and getting a pep talk in the car at the end of the movie. We then see her walk in, and I was expecting, she's going to be going to her job, but she's checking into her first gynecologist appointment, which I'm pretty sure is how most women probably attend a gynecologist appointment, especially the first one. Just need a little pep talk to talk ourselves into it beforehand, and it's perfection. It's perfect, right? This movie is about empowerment. And while, yes, on the surface, it seems to be about women empowerment, like I said, it's not just about empowering women. It's about empowering women while also empowering others, right? But it's about finding out who you are, outside of what society expects you to be. And so, of course, we don't have an ending where Barbie and Ken are together, because that would undercut the entire movie. It's not about finding someone else. It's about finding yourself and who you want to be. So she may go on to find her Ken, which may be the Ken, but that's later, right? Right now, she's finding out who she is. And that first step is seeing the gynecologist. The first step to womanhood, for sure. So yeah, tons of things to like about this movie. That was a little bit, I think, still a little bit all over the place. But yeah, I loved it. The cast was amazing. Of course, Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling and America Ferrera. But we also had Issa Rae. We had Kate McKinnon, Simu Liu, and Cuddy Gatwa, who's the new Doctor. We had Will Ferrell. We had Nicola Coolin. She had a little cameo, which I had to I had to go Google it because I was like, how did I miss her? But she's just on the stage. I think when they're giving that award to the president. Is that what it was? Something like that. But yeah, the lady from Bridgerton, that was just the last season. But yeah, sorry. But there are also tons of other people. Michael Cera, of course. Helen Mirren is the narrator. She was fantastic. Rhea Perlman was Ruth, the creator. Loved her so much. Asim Chowdhury, who's a British comedian, and he was in Taskmaster as well. He's great. Rob Brydon, who's also great, who hosts Would I Lie to You, which is a British panel show. Loved him. Kingsley Ben-Adir, and so many more people. I couldn't even list them all, probably. Love a star-studded cast, for sure. And lastly, I really loved the soundtrack and the score of this movie, especially Billie Eilish's What Was I Made For? I get that stuck in my head all the freaking time. Talking about an ethereal, melancholy, and yet hopeful song. It's absolutely perfect for the film. I love the way that they use it as, the score in the scene where she's talking to Barbie's creator, to Ruth. And again, at the end of the movie, when she's, spoiler, becoming human. It was just, I really loved that. I love when they kind of repeat a song and they break it down to use it as a score for a theme or for, a certain person. And I get that that's scoring 101, and that's me saying I love it when there's dialogue in a movie, but it's just so good. In Julie and the Phantoms, when they used Unsaid Emily as the score on his birthday with his parents. It just hits so good, and I just loved it. And I love that song. And it makes you feel a vibe. I don't know. It's a good song. Yeah, there's probably more, but I think we'll probably just stop here because this is a lot. This isn't even a very long episode actually so far, but it's fine. We'll move on. Time for critiques. No notes, actually. I have no notes for this movie. I mean, maybe, if I'm being pressed for a note, a half a note, a smidgen of a note. I could say that I wish we got a bit more of a serious portrayal of the executives instead of kind of the over-topness of it. I didn't hate it. I didn't hate the way that they were doing it. But it was supposed to be more like the real world, so I kind of wish there's a bit more toned down version of what they did, instead of making it seem like all of these dudes were just a bunch of, like, I don't know, children, if that makes sense. But that's really it. Obviously, I loved the movie. It was great. Definitely going to be watching it in the future, I'm sure. And I'm also hoping that I can get back into this again. I do miss it. I like putting into words the things that I liked and didn't like about things, especially since I'm obviously so very eloquent about it. But I wanted to end this season with my favorite, books, TV, movies of the year, like I like to do. But now it's March, so, like, is that even worth it? I don't know. Maybe I'll still do that and then end the season, or maybe, you know what, maybe I'll just keep going and then this will just be a little bit longer of a season, if I'm even consistent, and then, wrap it up in the summer like I normally do. Who knows? We'll see. And there you have it. Those are my thoughts on Barbie, the movie. Barbie, the movie, I think is the Barbie movie. Thank you so much for joining me. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr at Mixed Media Reviews Podcast. Please leave me a comment to let me know if you liked the movie, didn't like the movie, if you have suggestions, anything that you want. I don't know. Say hi. You can find me anywhere you find your podcast, probably, but using Spotify would probably help me get monetized again. But whatevs. Please, hopefully, I guess, just join me next time. Whenever that is. You know what? Maybe I'll do an episode about all the hockey romances that I've been reading. But that'll be a super long episode. And they all kind of run together because, again, not super exciting. Anyway, okay. Yeah. Have a reasonable beep. Bye.